Hello, welcome back to the channel. Now, today's video is all about emergency preparedness or prepping and my top 5 tips on how to get started. So welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning in again. So emergency preparedness or prepping. Now, I've done a video previously about emergency preparedness and what is prepping, what's it all about. I'll put a link on later on in the video for that one, check that one out. But at the moment, with the world as it is and the current economic crisis, I'm getting quite a few emails recently on how to get into prepping and what should I do to start. So I thought I'd do a video, so if you are new into prepping or you're thinking of starting prepping, this will be my 5 top things you should consider. Bullseye. So for prepping as well as survival, one of the most important things you need is water. As human beings, we need water to survive, don't we? You last 3 days without water. So one of the main things you want to consider is getting a good supply of clean, safe drinking water.
Good water.
Now, you can get clean, safe drinking water in numerous different ways. Obviously, you can store water, shop bought mineral water. You can even take water out of your taps and store it. So there's a few things you want to consider when you're storing water. Now, if you're storing in a room with windows, make sure you put the water in a non-see-through container so the UV light doesn't get in. Or better still is to put it in a room with no windows. So what you really don't want is direct sunlight. So any microorganisms in the water will react to the sunlight and obviously grow. So if you're storing water, make sure you put it in a room or a container where no natural sunlight can get to it. Now, you can store X amount of water depending on your room and your storage facilities, but that will only last so long. So you will need another way of cleaning and treating natural water, which will be then safe to drink. Now, you might have a rainwater collection system, or you've got a natural water source nearby, whether it be a well, a stream, or a natural spring. But you still need to purify it and make sure it's safe to drink. So when it comes to treating water, there's numerous different ways. Obviously, you've got your chemical treatments, you've got your bleach, your chlorine, or even chlorine tablets or puri tabs. But before you chemically treat it, you want to take out the bigger particulates. So maybe you want to think about a millbank bag or some sort of cloth and screening to take out the bigger particulates before you chemically treat it. Now, another way of treating water, once you've got it clean, once you've got all the debris out of it and the bigger particulates, is to boil it. You boil water for 5 minutes minimum, you'll kill just about anything and it'll be safe to drink. Once it's cooled, obviously. Now, the optimal way of getting clean, safe drinking water is to use a filter system. Now, you can use the small mobile filter systems, the Life straws, the Sawyers, all the different makes you've got of Life straws. They are limited on how long the filters last and obviously how much water you can filter. Or the best bet is to get a larger container vessel to treat your water, such as the British berkefeld filters that we sell in the shop, obviously. They are the go-to for any home prepper or homesteader to get clean, safe drinking water and enough water for you to use for yourself and your family. Now, I've done a video on the British berkefeld water filters. They take out all the nastiness out of the water using carbon filters with silver in it. Plus there's a fluoride filter as well you can get. So you're safe in the knowledge in the water that you put in there and it comes out to the other end is clean, safe to drink for you and your family. So that's the first on the list, water. Either storing water for long term or having a filter and treatment system where you can treat and clean natural water so it'll be safe for you and your family to drink. Right, next on the list is another essential item really, food. Now, you can last 3 weeks without food depending on how big your stores are. But it's the most important thing to think about in a SHTF situation, especially if you're coming into emergency preparedness or survival, is having food to eat. Now, food comes in many different varieties, doesn't it? But what you want to look for is long-term food storage. This can come in many different ways, and I've done a video on my top 10 food items that you can store long-term. So you can check that out later on in the video. So when it comes to long-term food, you got your tins, your jars, your pastas and rices, or freeze-dried food. Now, I used to stock this in a shop, but I store this at home as well. And this is great not just for emergency preparedness or survival, but it's great for all sorts of things. If you're hunting, camping, or out on expeditions, freeze-dried food is great. Yes, you need clean water to rehydrate it, but it's really lightweight. It takes up very little room, and some of the tins you can get will last 25 years plus. Loads of different varieties out there these days that cater for all tastes and allergies and all that sort of stuff. So also when it comes to food, it's not just storing X amount of tins of beans and freeze-dried food and all that. It's perhaps having a way of growing it as well, isn't it? So you want to replenish the food you got with either growing your own. So that's why it's a good idea to have seeds, a seed bank, somewhere to grow it. and obviously the knowledge you need to grow it. Now when it comes to food, you don't have to spend a fortune getting in pallets and pallets of baked beans in or whatever, freeze-dried food. It just means adding a little bit at a time when you go shopping, especially if something's on offer. Just grab a little bit extra every time, and before you know it, you've got a good store of food at home. Now if you are short of storage space at home, you just got to be smart with it. You know, underneath beds, in plastic containers, above wardrobes, underneath the stairs, anything like that, and do the best with the space you got. Now another thing about food is how to cook it. If it's an SHTF situation, the gas is no longer there, the electric's off, how do you cook your food? There's numerous different ways you can do it. Just like this heat to eat system. Yeah, these are great. You pour a little bit of water in the bottom of the tray or the container, that reacts with a heater stone. Your food then goes to another tray on top, and then the steam heats up your food. And you don't have to just use freeze-dried food. You can use any food in this. You can reheat tinned food, soups, freeze-dried food, like I say, MREs, anything. Doesn't need any electric, doesn't need any gas, just a little bit of water, and Bob's Shanty Gym. So another element about food, especially in an SHTF situation, is providing food for yourself and for your family. Whether it's small game, vermin, wood pigeons, pheasants, whatever, anything like that, or even larger game, like this coming here. Got him. So food, having plenty of long-term food storage, whether it's like I say tins, freeze-dried or whatever. Growing it if you can, so having seeds and the knowledge how to grow seeds, making a garden, and then some way of cooking it. So it could be a little gas burner, a wood stove, or heat to eat system, or anything like that, where if the power goes off or there's no gas or whatever it is, whatever situation you're in, you've got food stored and a way to cook it. Got him. Now my third item, my top 5 things you want to consider if you're getting into prepping, is what I'm calling home supplies. Now this covers everything from first aid kits, medical supplies, torches, batteries, candles, 4 candles, anything that you have around the house really. So it's just having enough supply of everyday items that you need around the house that you might have to call on if for whatever reason, say the electric goes off, you can't get to the shops, and you might need extra toilet paper, you might need batteries, you might need some plasters, whatever it is. Just make sure you've got plenty of these items around the house. And it's not just your first aid items or your torches, but you also got to think of the time of year. So disaster could strike in winter, so you make sure you've got enough warm blankets, warm clothing, heaters. Best thing to do is just think of any disaster scenario at every time of the year and just think, how can I combat that and what do I need? Now, there's a lot of channels out there telling you need to get this, you need to get that. Emergency preparedness, really what it comes down to is making sure you've got enough of the everyday items at home that you need for whatever situation arises. Doesn't always have to be about crossbows, machetes and AK-47s. It's just about having enough supplies at home for your family if trouble arises. So there we are, that's number 3 on the list of the 5 things you want to consider if you get into emergency preparedness or prepping. Home supplies. So the next item on the list of my top 5 things to consider if going into emergency preparedness is books and knowledge. Now books are a great resource, as long as you can read, that is, and you can find books on just about anything. Now if you get into emergency preparedness, there's many books you can get all about prepping, but you also want to consider books about self-sufficiency, growing food, home maintenance, foraging, herbal remedies, even beer making. There's books on just about anything. So no matter what you're into, which element of prepping you're into, books are always there, and it doesn't matter if the grid goes down, electric goes off, you can still read your books. Even if you read them books, just keep them there, because one day you might have to go back and reference it, you might forget something. So yeah, the books are always there and they're a great resource. And also with books is skills. So if you have got books teaching how to do these skills, it's getting out and practicing these skills, because you never know, one of these days you might have to use it. So there it is, that's my number 4 on my top 5 things to consider if you get into emergency preparedness or prepping, and that's good reference books and skills. So there we are guys, we're nearly there. We've done 4 of my top 5 things to consider if you get into emergency preparedness. And before we get to number 5, I'll just show you this old air rifle, this old Rangemaster. I had this when I was about, well, must be 8-9 years of age. My dad cut the butt off so I could fit it in my shoulder, and then obviously when I grew up, we glued it and screwed it back on. But she still shoots. It's a 2.2. I think we changed the spring in it once, and the trigger's a little bit dodgy. Yeah, but you still take the pigeons and the squirrels out, I'm sure. Yeah, so what is number 5? Well, number 5 is community. I thought you had something coming. Here's a dog. Hello. Come on. Now, believe it or not, in the UK, the emergency preparedness community is growing day by day. There's thousands and thousands and thousands of people out there into prepping or emergency preparedness. And being part of a community is a must. Yes, you'll get the occasional lone wolf who thinks he can dress up as John Rambo and take on the world. But more often than not, in an SHTF situation, you will need other people to help out. And being part of a community is essential. So in that community, you'll have people with a range of different skills, whether it's doctor, it could be a carpenter, it could be an ex-army chef.
He's a cook, plain and simple.
It could be anything, really. And with them different skills, you're helping each other out if and when the time calls for it. Now here at the Bug Out, we don't only just supply emergency preparedness items and survival gear, we're also a community hub as well. We get people from all over the UK coming to the Bug Out, having a chat, having a bit of a get together, exchanging ideas. And also at the Bug Out as well, on the website I've got a community page where you leave your name, your email address and an approximate location in the UK where you are. I then put you in contact with someone else in that area. Then obviously you can exchange email addresses, arrange to meet up if you like, and then that way you know you're not the only person in that area. And then you've got others then you can regularly meet up, form communities, and once you've got these communities formed up, like I say, you can regularly meet, plus in an SHTF situation, if you need to, you know you've got others then you can call on. So there we are, guys. There's my top 5 things you want to consider if you want to get into emergency preparedness here in the UK, or prepping as it's more commonly known. And thanks for joining me in the hide today, where I'm doing a bit of target shooting, a bit of target practice with the air rifles. Now I'm just a handful of subscribers short of my 4,000 mark, so when I do reach that milestone, there will be a competition out there and I'll be giving away a prize, or a prize draw, so keep tuned for that. And if you do like the videos, please think about liking and subscribing, hit that notification bell, I think it's there. Now if you do want to catch another video about emergency preparedness, I got my top 10 food items you can store long term, that's here. And I got my other video about emergency preparedness and prepping and what's it all about, and that's here. So thanks for watching, thanks for taking the time to tune in, and I'll catch you next time. All the best.